Today is a WRAL weather alert day. The biggest threats, damaging wind and large hail. We're already seeing pictures like this from across the area. I'll walk you through what you can expect hour by hour this evening.
The curfew debate intensifies. A shooting caught on camera has Fayetteville leaders discussing a youth curfew. We'll tell you why not everyone is on board.
And just because machines lower manufacturing costs doesn't necessarily mean lower prices for you. We go in depth on the rise of automation, AI, and what it means for what you pay at the store. Well, here we are, our fourth WRAL weather alert day in a row, and you can see and hear why there. So storms were popping up all across our area today, bringing some of that hail along with them. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty. We do have some nice sights behind us. How about the rainbow in Goldsboro? A little pot of Goldsboro maybe at the end of it. We appreciate you being with us. These storms did pack a punch in a lot of places, and we're going to take you live to where some winds badly damaged someone's home. We're going to do that in just a bit. But first, let's go to Mike, because we got this threat. It's just about over tonight, but man, it really brought some damaging stuff with it today.
Yeah, we had some stories from coworkers coming in saying they got hit by marble-sized hail. The rain was coming down so hard they had to pull off the side of the road. Now we're seeing the end of the event. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for parts of Northampton County and a little bit left over in Halifax County. That's till about 7:30. It's 60-mile-per-hour winds, hail, and there's also a tornado tag, meaning tornado possible. There is some rotation showing up in the cell as it moves to the northeast. We'll keep an eye on that as it enters Northampton County. You can see all the cloud ground lightning strikes, the potential for some hail, but within the next half hour, it should be moving out of our viewing area, and we'll say goodbye to the storms. Greene and Lenore County seeing some thunderstorms, still a severe thunderstorm warning for those folks there near Kinston. That continues to move away. And Futurecast has really done an excellent job showing the outline of the showers and storms at 7 o'clock. It's showing the storms over Northampton County, Halifax County, over near Greene and Lenore counties as well. By the time we get to 8 o'clock, they continue to head to the east and northeast, perhaps coming to life more in the northern coastal plain by 9 and 10 o'clock. By that point, there could be a stray shower locally, but the severe threat is over. So it was a pretty rough day, but it is coming down.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Let's take a look at some of this damage, though. We saw several trees that got uprooted from the wind. One fell actually onto a home in Pikesville as those strong storms are moving through central North Carolina. WRL's Aaron Thomas is live for us out there at the scene. You spoke with the woman who lives there. She was actually inside at the time. That had to be scary.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, we spoke with Damie Perkins about this quick moving storm that was clearly strong enough to uproot this tree that we're standing by right now. It is a rather large tree, definitely taller than I am, but it was only this one, and then we also have a second tree that was uprooted. We could also take a look at some of the damage that was sustained at the home. It's now tarped up, but it definitely took the help of family and friends to get a lot of this storm damage cleaned up. Damie Perkins talks about how scary it was, and it was kind of a near miss as she was taking a nap. She heard all the noise. She stepped outside and then immediately saw some of the sunlight in the aftermath of this storm. Take a listen to what she says, how this particular situation has changed her perspective on future storms.
It's very humbling. It really is. It tells you that in the blink of an eye, everything that you have or everything you worked for, whether it's been standing here for 100 years or 5 days, it can be taken away from you just like that.
Yeah, these storms are quick. Another live look here at Pikeville. You can see this car here that also was damaged with the tree falling on it. She definitely had some damage on the hood. You can see some of these dogs here. We have 2 puppies and other dogs. In all, there were 4 dogs. They were not hurt, and no one was hurt as a result of this storm. But of course, we'll have much more on our late news hearing what she's taken away from this particular situation. Dan?
Yeah, so difficult for anybody to go through. I'm glad everybody's okay, though. Aaron, thank you so much. Fayetteville City Council once again now considering a curfew on kids and teenagers there. The goal is pretty simple, really. It's to prevent them from committing crimes or becoming the victims of crimes. They're talking about it in a meeting tonight, and it brings us to our quote of the day. What we can't do is continue to do nothing. That's what Fayetteville Mayor Mitch Colvin said, pushing his proposal now for a 9 p.m. curfew on juveniles. The idea is a direct response to 2 shots fired calls near last month's Dogwood Festival. It's one of the biggest, most fun family nights of the year. And after this, everyone had to evacuate. Before that, in March, someone shot a 12-year-old girl at a local carnival, sending her to the hospital. All of that is terrible, obviously, and it makes sense that the city wants to do something to keep that from happening again. And to be fair, Mayor Colvin has some other ideas to go with the curfew idea, like bag restrictions at events, increased Crime Stoppers rewards, and council approved both of those at tonight's meeting. But not everybody is on board or agreeing with this curfew idea. WRAL's Carly Haynes was there for tonight's meeting and unpacks the conversation.
Speak on that now,
Fayetteville city government is stepping in after a violent few weeks.
I think that the cost isn't what we need to be looking at as much as when it can get done, what you need and what you have researched. And that is my concern.
Deadly shootings as recent as Sunday morning. Neighbors saw it through their windows. A person armed with a large gun. Fayetteville police say 36-year-old Dante Van Cleef died. This disturbing video now has thousands of views on social media.
what we can't do is continue to do nothing. And just more community activated crime stopping tools is what we're looking to do.
Mayor Mitch Colvin wants council to take action. He's proposing backpack and mask restrictions, more security, and a 9 p.m. youth curfew. Though council member Mario Benavente doesn't support the latter.
So I really need our city to recognize our limitations and what our role is in this issue, and that we're much better positioned to support our struggling families, to support our vulnerable youth, rather than trying to punish them and putting them into a pipeline into the courtroom.
Fayetteville saw a 366% jump in homicides so far this year compared to last. Leaders say it's clear. It's time to stop scenes like this. And as far as this past weekend's incident goes, Fayetteville police have not announced any charges at this point. They say all parties are fully cooperating. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, Fayetteville.
Okay, thank you to Carly. Now, we should mention Fayetteville has talked about curfews before. You might remember this story from September of 2023. The police chief presented an idea for a curfew, and the city council voted it down at that time. And there are some differences, we should say, between that curfew proposal 2 years ago and the proposal this time around. The old proposal set the curfew at 11 p.m. The rule being proposed now sets the curfew 2 hours earlier at 9 p.m. But the question that came up in 2023 is the same one that's coming up now. Do curfews even work? A 2016 study suggests that curfews need to be paired with increased resources. It concluded, quote, it is rare for curfew ordinances to be associated with increased law enforcement resources, reducing the likelihood of effective enforcement. And it looks like the new proposal in Fayetteville does acknowledge that. More security cameras, partnerships with private security agencies, increased rewards for sending information to Crime Stoppers, and that all sounds like increased resources to me. But we should also consider this. Take a look at this graph from the DOJ. It shows the times of day that we see the most youth violent crime. The numbers are the highest between noon and 5 p.m. So that is well before these proposed curfews. Interested to hear what you think. So why put a curfew if we don't know for sure that it's going to work or not? Well, let's go back to the Fayetteville mayor and hear what he had to say.
What we can't do is continue to do nothing. We know for sure that when we talked about this in 2023, the numbers have gone up continuously. It's easy for people to say what won't work until you've tried it, and continue to do the same thing and expecting a different outcome. There's a definition for that. But what I would say is that these are drastic times. They'll call for drastic measures. We have to get our parents and our guardians into the process, and we believe that some legislation will help do that.
Again, I want to know your thoughts on this. Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. Let's do more than just report the news, right? Let's talk about it. Let's have tough conversations. Tell me what is on your mind, and we will go in depth. Speaking of that, tonight we are answering some questions recently sent into the in-depth inbox all about a different tough conversation. We did a whole bunch of reports on automation, AI, and what it means for the future of our economy. Naturally, you have some questions and comments and feedback, so let's get into it right after the break.
From the WRAL Live Center, all new in the past hour, Wake County's manager has released the $2.2 billion budget proposal for next year. And one of the big headlines is that it would add $35 million to Wake County schools. However, that is less than the $40 million the Wake County School Board wants. The budget plan also includes property tax increases for the library bond that voters passed last year and fire services. They are going to make a final decision about all of this in June. Right now, you can go to WRAL.com and go in depth on that budget plan.
Welcome to the Monday mailbag, everybody. Reading your emails, talking about them on the air. It's one of my favorite parts of this 7 o'clock newscast. Rick and Kay seem to like it too. They said, we really enjoy your 7 p.m. broadcast. Sometimes it's actually more interesting than the news. This just kind of cracks me up, guys. So Rick, Kay, this is the news. It's really a commentary, I think, on our industry. I've always found it so strange that in a creative medium like storytelling, nearly every local station from cities from New York to Glendive, Montana, look exactly the same for some reason. Isn't that weird to you? But I'm glad that you're noticing the little things that we're trying to do differently here at 7 o'clock. One of the things we do differently is that we spend more time on certain topics. We go in depth. We did several pieces on the future of automation in manufacturing and farming and pretty much everything else. Modern manufacturing does look like science fiction in a lot of ways, and it's putting us in a bit of a conundrum. Robots do make things less expensive to produce, but those robots will continue to replace lots of jobs for people. Chris said, for me and my family, it all comes down to what price we pay at the store. Everything else takes the back seat. The way the economy is going, it's to the point where I need to do what's best for my family and not worry about others. So this is the selling point, right? Companies say offshoring keeps prices down. Automation will help to keep prices down. They say tariffs will raise prices. But the truth is, none of these things are the primary reason for the price that you pay. I'll explain it like this. In 1980, the average cost for a new car was $7,574. Now, in today's dollars, accounting for inflation, that would be like $29,300 for an average vehicle. But the actual average cost of a car today is much higher than that, nearly $49,000. So, if it's so much cheaper to build overseas, which we are doing, if it's so much cheaper to use automation instead of people, which we are doing, why has the cost nearly doubled? If it's so much cheaper to do it the new way, why aren't we paying less? Well, perhaps it's all the new tech in modern cars. The Oldsmobile Cutlass didn't have a backup camera. Or maybe it's all the regulations around safety and the environment and that sort of thing that didn't exist in the 80s. There are lots of little factors like that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to supply and demand. Cars and everything else cost about as much as you are willing to pay for them. So when a company finds a way to cut costs, that savings doesn't typically bring down the price. It goes to the company's growth or to the financial rewards for executives and shareholders. What I mean is, if Ford discovered a way to make a car for 1 cent, they'd still charge you about as much as they possibly could for that car. Think about COVID and grocery stores. Remember, that started with the panic buying and the supply chain issue. So supply was down, demand was high, and the prices went up. But when supply chains stabilized, the prices didn't come down, did they? If people were willing to pay $4 for a bell pepper, why would they drop the price to $2? To be nice? The FTC investigated this and found that large grocers took advantage of the pandemic supply chain disruption. The report found that dominant firms used this moment to come out ahead at the expense of their competitors and the communities that they serve. Amazon, Kroger, Walmart, Tyson, Kraft, and others, they all brought in record profits. Think about that. When the government made everyone stay home, pumped trillions of inflationary dollars into the economy, even closed restaurants and made us more reliant on grocery stores than ever, the FTC found that some firms seem to have used rising costs as an opportunity to further hike prices to increase their profits. And profits remain elevated even as supply chain pressures have eased. So all this to say, just because robotics and automation can lower costs doesn't mean that it's going to lower prices. But they will continue to replace workers. Carmine said, at what point do we reach a tipping point? When does it get to a point where regular Joes can't find work and can't afford anything else? And this is where the conversation gets a little bit out there. Because if automation and AI did reach its potential, as some people see it, the world would start to become unrecognizable in a lot of ways. And some people think that that will truly begin when we have fully realized autonomous vehicles. So right now they work really well in controlled environments like this beer factory where transport units replaced hundreds of forklift operators, or a shipping yard facility like this one that loads and unloads these giant container ships with AI and autonomous transporters and cranes. One of these kinds of vehicles once they can prove to be just as safe and efficient and reliable out in the real world as they are in those factories, well, that could change everything. Google owns a company named Waymo. They have hundreds of driverless taxis in the Bay Area. And just last week, they released some safety data. The NBC station out there covered it. So Waymo's vehicles have logged 70 million miles in California, Phoenix, and Austin. The company found that the cars got into far fewer accidents than humans, and that most of the accidents that did happen were caused by human drivers in other vehicles. And young people are not afraid to use these. My cousin lives out there. He takes them all of the time. And this technology threatens every delivery job in the country. Amazon drivers, long-haul truckers, and the pizza guy would all be automated. Millions and millions of jobs. Do they all become engineers? I mean, this isn't meant to be alarmist, okay? This is a conversation we have to have. Lawmakers are talking about it. They've mulled around ideas like universal basic income for this very thing. There's still a lot to talk about here. Let me know what you think. Please send me an email. You can email me at dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what is on your mind, and we'll go in depth. Hey, Kat.
Hey, Dan, it's been a busy day in the WRAL Storm Tracker. We've driven through 5 counties tracking severe storms, several reports of hail today, and we did just check out some tree damage in Wilson on Monticello Drive. And I want to show you some of that footage that we saw in the Wilson area. We talked to a woman named Patricia who unfortunately was home when this tree hit her house. Luckily, she was okay. Nobody was injured by this, but a pretty large tree did fall on her house, some damage to the roof, and that led to a lot of water leaking through on the floors. Luckily, she was smart about it, immediately put out any kind of plastic container she could, called her insurance company, and the city of Wilson has already come out and helped with some of the trees, but windows damaged there as well. Let's talk about what we've got out on the radar right now. I want to show you the dual Doppler 5000 radar. Still one storm left. It looks like they canceled the severe thunderstorm warning, though, up in Northampton County. So some good news there. No more severe thunderstorm warnings in our area, and the storms are moving on out. But look at all the storm reports left behind. A couple of reports of wind damage and several reports, all those blue circles there, of hail, many in Wake County. Some good news for you. The severe thunderstorm watch has been cleared out early, and Futurecast continues to show the rain moving on out of here. So we're going to get a break from our rain and storm chances after this. Certainly good news. Check out the forecast tomorrow and Wednesday. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. It's about 80 degrees, mostly sunny. The humidity is going to take a nice dip, so it should really be wonderful feeling outside. Let's take a look at the muggy meter. Our dew points dip back into the 50s, and that puts us in the comfy category every single day. Even as rain chances climb a bit Thursday and Friday, it's still not going to be quite as humid. So overall, feeling pretty good. If you want to head out and get some exercise in tomorrow, 8 a.m., 60 degrees, mostly sunny. A great start to the day, 76 with sunshine at noon, partly cloudy during the afternoon with highs right around the 80-degree mark. Let's take a live look at your 7-day forecast. Temperatures are in the lower 80s for a few more days.
One last thing before we go tonight. Today, the Pulitzer Prizes came out, and there are all kinds of awards for books and reporting and photography and more. But they also honored the late Chuck Stone with a special citation. They recognized his groundbreaking coverage of the civil rights movement. WRAL interviewed him several times about this over the years. Stone also founded the National Association of Black Journalists. He was also a White House correspondent and a Tuskegee Airman. And he was a journalism professor at UNC Chapel Hill from 1991 until he retired in 2005. It's a resume that almost seems impossible. He died in 2014. And Chuck Stone accomplished so much during his life, and he will be remembered forever for his contributions to our area, to our state, and to our country. Congratulations to him and his family and relatives for this award. Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast is at 10 o'clock on Fox 50. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock on WRAL. Have a great night.